Well, here we go again. It's the Surrounded by Idiots radio podcast. This is where you get news and information to help you rise above the unwashed masses to basically create your own life, live on your own terms. That's kind of where we're going for that. So this is your host, Dr. Tony Dufresne, as usual. Hey, how you doing? And today I have a very special guest because I rarely get her up here, let alone into the lair here, the new studio. And but it's my daughter, Rachel Dufresne, / Espericueta, which is actually now, really, it's Rachel Espericueta now, right?
Yeah, close enough. Close enough.
There it is. All right.
How you doing?
Good. And the reason why I have you on today is because you're the expert speaker today. And this is actually a topic that you are very well qualified to talk about. And you're actually going to be doing a symposium. You're going to be doing what do you call it?
A workshop?
A workshop. You're going to be doing a workshop for an entire group of teachers down at the convention center this week, right?
Yeah, this coming Friday.
Right. And it's going to be Mike. There you go. And it's interestingly enough, she's the one that's used to being on stage. It's going to be about improvisation and how you use that in life. And I thought that would be an amazing show to do because it's so powerful. And I've come across it just in my own studies in regards to using the tools of improvisation to really shift your perspective and shift your awareness and your focus into looking for solutions or looking to involve your environment into your own life to make it better.
Right.
Is what it comes down to. So if you want to, can you just give me a background or give us a background of what the symposium is going to be about and why you think improv is, such an important component in regards to teaching and in life.
Right. So I'll start with my favorite quote, and it's that all humans are performers and life is improvisational. And it's true. It's not only in the classroom where improv is something that is really beneficial, but just in life in general, because improvisation is basically going with the flow, saying yes to things that come at you and taking them for what they are and going with it and creating things out of it. And the reason that I'm teaching this workshop is to share my experiences with other teachers in the classroom and kind of how you incorporate improvisation and movement into different situations to get the most out of it.
Because really what you're looking to do in regards to the overall underlying reason why you feel is improv would be good to use in class, what are the benefits? And I know we actually went over this last night, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show. The benefits of you teaching the kids the art of improvisation will give them the ability for them to handle what type of situations.
Right. So it helps them focus. It helps them become engaged with their surroundings. It helps them create connections with others and relationships built on trust. And if you don't have trust and you don't have a community or a team, a lot of times you're not able to, be your true self or be who you want to be. And that vulnerability that you gain from doing these improv and these specific activities are what allows you to take risks. And I think taking risks is the most important part of life and learning. And if you don't take risks, then what the hell are we doing?
Which is exactly why the art of or using improv or having a level of understanding of it is so important to everybody.
Yeah, not just people think that it's just for actors. Oh, actors do improv and it's funny and we like to watch it and it's entertaining, but it's like it's so much deeper than that. And I think that's what I want to share with other teachers is you don't have to have a theater background to do improv. We do improv every day and we don't even realize we're doing it. We're just accepting what comes to us and we're going with it and we're creating things out of it and we're performing based off of situations that are not planned. But using these activities and using improv and movement in the classroom and in life, you learn a lot, not only about yourself, but how to develop relationships with other people and how to kind of get the most out of every situation.
Which is really the key. And it's great because when we were going over the benefits and we were talking last night, because I had the opportunity to see her presentation, her workshop last night. I wanted to kind of help her out with the dry run, and so I was able to watch it. What I liked about it was everything you just said in regards to it being such a great tool. I think overall, isn't it just a tool of awareness? It's a tool of awareness and understanding that stuff happens around you all the time, and improv is all about saying yes and.
Yeah,
which is really the acceptance of what is, and then and.
Yeah, it's being accepting of your situation and going with it. Like the example I'd given you last night, if I say, I'm going to walk into the grocery store and I'm going to buy a gallon of milk, and I stop there and I look at you, and if you say, well, we don't even live by a grocery store, you're completely shutting down what I'm giving to you. And it's not just that, specific situation, but it's just in life. If something comes up, instead of, fighting it, which a lot of people do, subconsciously they just
well, it doesn't conform to where they think their life should go or what their reality should be,
right? And
so they a lot of times they fight the reality of the now, and they fight what's happening around them instead of kind of moving and grooving with it and finding the yes and a part of anything,
right? And I think if you learn how to use improv in your life, it will make the situations less
right. So let's go through that. And it will also, the one thing I wanted to bring up before I forget, what we talked about last night, it's great with conflict resolution.
Yes.
Great.
And you brought that point up too, because I hadn't even originally thought of that until you brought that up, and I thought that was a really valid point.
Yeah, it's because when you were going through this, it's all about, first of all, being very, very present in the now. Mm-hmm. The second thing is you are also being very accepting of another person's reality,
right,
at the same exact time.
You're meshing two worlds into one,
right? Which is exactly what effective communication is. It's what really effective and nurturing and powerful relationships are built on.
And good theater.
And clearly, you have to always throw the theater stuff in there, right? You theater people, theater RE.
I got to represent
theater with an RE. So knowing all the benefits of improv, you went through some of the examples last night about exercises that you're teaching the teachers to teach in class. But is there something in regards to somebody trying to more effectively communicate with their significant other, or a parent and a child, or just a friend to a friend, or maybe even a job interview, or to your boss?
Yeah.
Are there some guidelines or something that you would think might be something to keep in mind while you're going in there, or maybe something that a couple can use?
As far as like an activity or just a way of thinking?
Let's do a way of thinking and then an activity, if you have one that could be used that way.
I would just say stay open, be open, and when you're going into new situations that are oftentimes, scary, which many times end up being the best situations to be in because you learn a lot about yourself and others. But I would just say be open, accept what is, and go with it. You need to just go with it. Don't hold back. Don't shut yourself off, because that is not going with the flow. And that's kind of against the rules of how to use improv in life. So.
Right, and also what I found in improv in terms of in a theater dynamic, and also just in general, because I practice that all the time, it's not from, saying, okay, I'm going to be an improvisationalist and go out every single day. That's not my approach on life, but I know that those are the tools I use. Being present, being aware, being accepting of what is, right, and then kind of working around that.
And understanding that everyone has a different perspective than you. So,
which is the key, isn't
it? Especially with job interviews. I always like in the game of life, I always like to put myself in other people's shoes in specific situations, so I can try and think how they're thinking, and putting myself in other people's shoes, and imagining what they may be thinking at the time allows me to be more accepting and be more open, and they feel it too. What goes hand in hand as well with being improvisational is, body language. If you shut yourself off to someone, and that's just kind of like a rule of thumb, be open, be present, and then just have, body language that is, inviting, or
one of the before I go off to talk about the body language, which is a really good point, the body language. I have to say, for the record, you are the best interviewer that I've ever known. Have you ever not gotten a job that you've gone in and interviewed for? I don't
think so.
I don't think so. You are. I mean, you should teach a class on interviewing. It's. I don't know what it is. You have some sort of a gift in regards to that, and I think it all has a lot to do with what you just said, creating that energy in terms of the creating a bond and a relationship with the interview without being. While still being authentic, and I think that's really the key,
Correct.
isn't it?
Yeah. Authenticity is extremely important. I don't know. A lot of people go into interviews like, I'm better, or these people would be lucky to have me, which, you know what? It's true. These people will be lucky to have you, but you need to also create a trust with the people that you're interviewing, not like an I'm better than you type of, persona. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah. And just going into it saying, I got this job. If you go into any interview, like side note, and you say like, I already got this job, you're putting it out there and you're talking to them like they've already hired you. And it takes the nerve level down.
So right then and there, you're creating a different energy.
Yeah. And it all goes hand in hand with improv. It really does. All of this does. People don't realize it. People do not realize that every single day they are using these techniques,
Which goes back into the body language thing. And I have to say, from a research standpoint, physical attraction, in terms of being open to somebody and being accepting of somebody, and this could be physically attractive in regards to boy, girl, or it could just be going into an interview and somebody saying, I get a good vibe from this person. Research has shown, like hundreds of research papers and whatnot have shown that it's about 55% body language, and this is within the first 4 seconds to 90 seconds is what they said.
Right.
55% is body language. 35% is voice cadence and tonality. So how you speak and the tonality of how you speak.
Yeah.
And what does that leave? That leaves 55, 90, 10%. 10%, yeah.
The answers you give.
The answers, and then how you approach, and your overall, and your language is, if shoulders are down and your head is up, and you're not curled up into a defensive position when you first go in, or if you don't, go to shake their hand and it's like a limp fish, or you're looking down, you shake their hand and you can't look them in the eye. Those are clear examples of somebody who doesn't have a level of self-confidence in going into this thing.
Right. And one more thing. They always ask you at the end if you have any questions for them. You got to ask a question. You got to. And you have to end it on a positive note, So instead of saying, how much am I going to get paid, or do I get, holidays, my favorite question to ask is, what are you most proud of about your company?
Oh, okay.
And that kind of leaves it on like a positive note, and it allows them to actually think, because a lot of times they don't think you're going to ask anything, so they're not really prepared.
Well, I don't think most people ask anything.
Yeah, you kind of catch them off guard, and then they have to be the improvisers, and it's kind of cool to be like, I got you,
and that leaves an impression. That leaves an impression on them.
It leaves an impression. Yeah. So interview is fun. I like it. I think it's fun. So
yeah, you and about 2 other people in the world, I think. But this didn't actually. The intention of doing the show wasn't to do the...
sorry to sidetrack you.
No. But those are great points, because it all kind of wraps into the whole thing. And again, going back to the body language part about it, which is actually the biggest component, physical attraction. I mean, you got to go in not looking like you just ate at Burger King. Right. You got to go
even
in
if you did.
Even if you did,
bring an extra shirt.
Right? It's a matter of going in and having a decent presentation, but it's also having that body language of just, you don't have to go in with a body language of I know my shit. And I know everything better than anybody else. You just go in with a level of self-assurity and being okay in your own bodysuit, basically.
Yeah, connect. Make a connection. And I think that goes back to the point of this whole podcast is like, you want to connect to people in life. You want to make a connection. You want to look them in the eye and tell them with your eyes, I hear you. Mm-hmm. I accept you. Even people that drive us crazy, like, there's something in them that we can relate to. Mm-hmm. We're all humans. No matter how much you like or dislike someone, you can always find a connection with someone.
Right, and
and you just have to kind of make those connections in life, and go with them and see what comes of it, and communicate. And
So let's wrap, which is exactly the whole. I mean, because really, the last thing about interview is that you're trying to create a mini relationship with this person, showing that you want to be a part of their tribe
in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, very short. Yeah. So you got to make it. You got to make it stick.
Make it stick.
So let's talk about what somebody can do, because you have your undergrad is in theater, musical theater, but your master's is in education, and you've taken both of those and meshed them together, and you integrate all of that into your teaching style with your kids, and to the point where they asked you to put on this big presentation to all the other teachers in the entire, because it's a private charter school.
No, it's confusing.
Yeah, it is confusing.
It's like charter,
so it's like a charter private, but it's multiple campuses.
And it's international.
Yeah. And you are doing a presentation to all of the teachers.
Well, the ones that want to.
Right, the ones that want to go to the class. But anyway, because they're all gathering there. So
Correct.
But that's how universally effective this approach is. Mm-hmm. And to teaching or just to communicating with somebody.
You got to be okay with looking like you're batshit crazy too. That's just the rule of it. You can't go into this saying like, I don't want to make myself look weird, or I know I'm self-conscious. I don't want people to think I'm weird. Be weird. Fucking embrace it. Like, you have one life to live. Be weird. That's all I have to say. It drives me nuts when people are like, it's like, speak your mind, be yourself, be weird, because the weirder you are, the more you're going to get out of life.
Preach. I mean, that's the whole point of this show, right?
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
All the time. So let's end on you giving somebody something in regards to something they can constructively do.
Okay. I'm trying to think of an activity that they could do. Well, as far as like parenting and kids, for an activity that you can do to build that improv and that connection and that trust and that yes and go with it type thing, is you can do like the mirroring game, where you stand facing each other with your hands touching, well, almost touching, and you guys have to mirror each other in every movement that you do. And that just practices connecting to someone. It practices, doing something without preparing for it. And it also gets you, focused and engaged in the other person, whatever they're doing. So that's kind of like a really simple activity that you can do with somebody that you're trying to connect more to, or if you're having a hard time getting, your thoughts or your voice across, then you can just like sit down with them. They'll probably think you're crazy, but it honestly, like, these are really effective if you're having like a fight with, your significant other, or if your daughter isn't listening to you, or anything's in life. You just like sit them down and say, okay, listen, put your hands up to my hands and follow what I do. And it not only connects you, but there's just like this calm aura that just like surrounds you after you get into the groove and you connect with that person. So
because it's intense focus, and
right.
It's intense focus on somebody else, and it's that little bubble that you guys have built around yourselves, and it's just you, and then it's about you complimenting the other person and vice versa, which is really the essence of improvisation anyway.
Yeah.
It's about just re-complimentation, not a word, but back and forth in regards to creating something new.
Yes.
And something positive and expansive. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great, and that can be used by anybody. I mean, that can be used in a relationship setting.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I wouldn't assume that you're going to be sitting there with a friend and playing Xbox and just saying, hey, let's do the mirror game. Yeah, I don't see that happening. But in regards to like relationship stuff, that might be right.
Yeah, it's great for relationships. Another activity that I can think of just off the bat is yes and. Sit, across from that person, make sure that your body language is similar, and just start, today I woke up. When you pause, yes, and, and you keep going, yes, and, you keep building on this story until you guys, either bust up laughing, and making that connection based off of comedic relief, or you just come to like a calming agreement without even speaking, just knowing, okay, you guys are on the same page now. You're grounded. Those kind of activities are really helpful. I know it's hard to explain when you're not like in front of people, like showing them like how to do these activities. But the book that I'm using for my workshop is called Unscripted Learning.
Unscripted Learning.
And it's amazing. And it's not just for the classroom. It honestly, it could be used in any situation.
And I know it's probably $20 or something, but it's well worth it if you're interested in any of this kind of stuff as a tool. And I think you can find it on Amazon or something. But I'll put a link in the show notes about that thing. I want to say a couple things to end this thing. The first thing is that you were talking about mirroring body language. That's called social contagion, and actually that's the most effective bonding tool from a subconscious standpoint that we have is social contagion. You want to bond with somebody without saying anything and kind of making it to where they subconsciously gain a higher level of trust with you. You start to mirror their body actions, not being overly dramatic about it, if that makes any sense, in terms of if somebody automatically starts putting their hand on their chin, then you just put your hand on your chin really quick. But it's about subtle movements and flow into exactly kind of what they're doing subconsciously in their head. That creates a connection, and it creates a higher level of trust. So that's huge when it comes down to that. It's the
beauty. The last thing that I want to say before you end the show is like, theater is so beautiful, and I know that people don't always connect to it, but it opens up so many doors just then, standing on a stage and performing. It makes connections to people. It makes people vulnerable. It makes you learn things about yourself. It makes the audience members learn about themselves. It connects you into this relationship, like the spiritual level relationship that you get without having to actually speak sometimes. And it's just beautiful. And so using these activities, you don't have to be a fan or of theater or a fan of performing, or you don't have to be an outgoing person, but like incorporating specific activities that we've been talking about just like goes above and beyond any kind of connection that you can get with humans.
Exactly. And it's again, the book is Unscripted Learning. And also I've taken an improv class. I've taken a couple actually when I was young. You've lived this for however many years you've been going through school and all that kind of stuff. You've done that. It's super effective. We're both fair to decent in terms of being able to communicate with other people. You would think so, having a radio show and doing what I do in terms of my coaching, and you're a teacher. So those are qualities that we have created and cultivated over the years, but they're so important in regards to connecting to other people. And it's and again, I think, and what I would suggest is if you're not going to get the book, or at least just go on and take a look at improvisational techniques for communicating, or take a class. Yeah. The classes are fun. You have to, you might be scared shitless when you first go in that thing, because you get up and there's no script. You just have to literally, and at the beginning, it's a dumpster fire at the beginning, because a lot of people shut down or they just don't know. So and again, improv is also about the more you use it, the better you get. It's like anything.
Right.
You have to practice it. It might be a little clunky at first, but it's so effective in regards to being able to communicate, being able to create relationships, create levels of trust with anybody in any circumstance.
Right.
So there
it's
it is.
Awesome.
So there's the show. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a short period of time because the kids are coming.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure I kind of got this in, especially because we talked about all of this last night, and I thought there's such a great subject and it can be so useful to the people who listen to the show.
Glad to be on, so thank you.
Good. You're welcome. So remember, it's javabud.com. The show's going to be up there. The video is going to be up there, and we're doing split screen video, and we'll be able to see both of us. So say hi over there on your side. And you can find all the other shows on there as well as my giveaway that I have. It's the 7 simple phrases for more happiness and joy and love and money and whatever you want in your life. Simple phrases, because it's all about the words, right?
Yeah.
All about the words. So have a good week. We'll see you next week.
Bye.